Episode 1. The boy the sky refused to kill. They would one day call him Genghis Khan, but on the night the sky tried to erase him, he was only a boy kneeling in frozen grass, listening to wolves circle the dark. The wind howled like a verdict. Stars burned cold and distant, uncaring witnesses. Somewhere behind him lay the body of a man who had once been his father, now just another lesson the steppe had claimed. Somewhere ahead waited nothing that could be called mercy. The land did not promise survival. It only asked a question. Will you endure, or will you disappear? Before the tribes learned to fear his name, the world taught him hunger. Hunger for warmth. Hunger for loyalty. Hunger for a place that could not be taken away. He learned early that blood meant little. Brothers vanished. Allies turned to strangers overnight. The strong were worshipped until they weakened, then fed to the wind. Trust was a luxury the dead once enjoyed. So the boy learned a different law. Nothing is owed, everything is earned. He watched leaders rule through fear and fall through arrogance. He watched warriors boast before the steppe swallowed them whole. And quietly, painfully, he learned patience, the kind forged only when escape is impossible. One winter broke him, captured, bound, thrown among enemies who laughed at his name because it carried no weight. Chains bit into his wrists. The sky above remained vast, silent, indifferent. That was when the thought came. Not rage, not despair, clarity. If the world is cruel, he realized, then I will become something it cannot ignore. He did not escape by strength, he escaped by timing. When the guards grew careless, when the night leaned just enough in his favor, when the steppe itself seemed to hold its breath, freedom tasted like blood and snow. Years passed like sharpening steel. He gathered no army at first, only people with nothing to lose. The discarded, the hunted, those broken by the old order. He did not promise them safety, he promised them belonging. Under his gaze, loyalty became sacred, betrayal became final. The tribes laughed again. Then they stopped laughing. Then they started listening. Because wherever he rode, the sky seemed to follow. The first great battle did not begin with drums or banners. It began with silence. Opposing warriors waited for a roar, a charge, a display of dominance. Instead, they saw him sit calmly on his horse, eyes lifted, not to the enemy, but to the clouds. He raised his hand, and the wind changed. Arrows darkened the horizon, hooves shattered the earth. The steppe moved as one living thing, and in its center rode a man who had learned its language through suffering. When the dust settled, the old chiefs lay defeated, not just in body, but in belief. The world had shifted. That night, as fires burned across the plains, his followers knelt and begged him to take a title, to name himself ruler, to claim the sky's favor. He did not answer immediately. Instead, he looked upward, scars lit by flame, eyes reflecting something vast and dangerous. "The sky does not belong to me," he said at last, "but it watches." They would remember that sentence for generations. Far above, the clouds gathered again. Because the steppe had not created a conqueror, it had created a force, and forces do not stop at borders. The boy who survived the sky had learned its secret, and soon the world would learn what happens when endurance becomes destiny.